The final score, Mansfield Town 1, Wrexham 2. Excellent stuff from Wrexham. This was another impressive away performance. 3 consecutive league wins on the road, 4 in all competitions. Oh man, when we sort our away format, we're going to be good, aren't we? This was impressive. After last Tuesday, we needed a good performance. Phil Parkinson's been talking about using the full extent of his squad in this rather congested run of fixtures, and he did 5 changes to the team on Tuesday, and he got a really, really good reaction from the players. I mean, Mansfield are in an awful run of form, caused by injuries, but they've lost 8 and drawn 1 of their last 9. But let's not assume that means it's going to be easy. It's simple to look at a team in that sort of form and think, oh, this will be a stroll in the park. Mansfield, were it not for the injuries, would be up there looking for promotion. They've got a lot of good players still available to them. When you look through their 11, you thought, yeah, they've got quality. Their confidence might be down, but they've got something. This is not just a stroll. Also, they've got a manager, as we'll come to later, in Nigel Clough, who knows what he's doing. 2,000 club managers up against each other. And it was an interesting first half. We started off superbly, just as you'd want to start against a side, which is sort of waiting for the next bad thing to happen. Although, it must be said, after Okonkwo, back in goal, had to make a save after 38 seconds. So, again, Mansfield just illustrating they got some possibilities. They got the ball to their strikers quite comfortably and easily in the first half, and they did look decent going forwards. Vickers feeding it to Evans, who seemed to be really available and able to hold play up and draw players in. Evans in the left channel drove in a shot, but he'd been forced wide, and when he drove it in, Okonkwo had the near post completely covered and was able to block it. And like I said, we did start well, because in the second minute, we took the lead. And it was something which would inform us about the game and how it would progress. Because down the left-hand side, we were spectacular. Seb Revan came in at wing-back. He and Ollie Rathbone were tremendous. Absolutely terrorised Bory, the right wing-back, who, has come into football initially as a striker, but he has played a fair amount at wing-back. But Revan had a beating of him and relished it. And the goal comes from that, a really nice 1-2 between Rathbone and Revan. Whenever Revan went inside, Rathbone would go bombing around the outside. He tore in a horrible cross into the 6-yard box. Nobody could meet us at the far post when Callum MacDonald, Mansfield wing-back, got there and just dinked it into his own net. I mean, it was a slightly odd one. I mean, it's one of those... ball comes across goal. I'm loath to criticise defenders when they stick a foot out and put it in, because they've got to try and do something. I don't think Longman was really in a position beyond him to get there. However, he didn't get a shout because of the quality of Rathbone's ball. He drove it in so quickly. There was no time for anyone to try and say anything to him, and he made a little bit of hash in front of his own goal. Just came at that angle, that pace, where he couldn't get his foot round it to put it behind for a corner. So Wrexham take the lead and would have further early chances to add to that lead. Rathbone feeding O'Connor. His cross-in was blocked by Kilgore, but when it came back out, Rathbone picking it up in the corner of the box, rips the ball in, and it hits the far post. I'm thinking it's a cross, but maybe not. I don't know. Puts a lot of nice action on it. So Mansfield, at this point, under threat, but they are still getting the ball out. I mean, they're very much looking like a side who are decent enough going forwards. Maris, a player I like a lot, especially since he divorced Niles. He's drifting around, finding space, and like I said, Evans is a good target, and they were causing issues. Bacchus popping up between the lines, Vickers trying to run down the channels and drag people out of position. There was quite a lot to admire in their attacking play, but we had an opportunity down the left to really get at them and get balls into the box, and frankly, they really didn't defend crosses well at all. In fact, some of the early opportunities and half chances that we had basically came from crosses that weren't the best, but they just didn't deal with it, and they allowed us to capitalise. In the 13th minute came a moment that I think had a big impact, to be honest, on how big our victory was going to be. Again, it's Wrexham on the left, but this time a long ball forwards. The keeper, Scott Flinders, who I've got to say didn't look the most secure. He's a good keeper, but he didn't have the happiest of days. Came out for it. Smith charged after it. They came together. The ref had no interest in giving a foul. Smith picks up the loose ball. Now he could shoot. Obviously, the keeper is now on the floor, about 15 yards out. A defender has got back McLaughlin to the line. Smith unselfishly decides to play the pass that you kind of think makes the goal certain. He rolls it to Rodriguez, who was around the penalty spot, and again just has one defender to avoid on the line. The trouble is he doesn't avoid him. Oh, so frustrating for him. His first goal for Wrexham just there for the taking, and he hits it far too close to McLaughlin, who manages to stick a left leg out and clear it pretty comfortably. It's a really big chance, and it's, the footballing gods frown upon this sort of thing, don't they? If you're going to miss a chance like that, they're going to punish you quite quickly, and they do, because instead of going 2 up against the side that would be thinking, okay, here we go again, we're on a losing streak, 2-0 down after 13 minutes, the crowds were turning on them, you think that might be the thing that really makes them crack and we can take control here. Instead, 3 minutes later, it's 1-1. Bacchus doing well, finding space between the lines, works a little 1-2 to get himself into a crossing position on the right. This is after a decent length of possession by Mansfield, which have just pulled us around a little bit when Bacchus rips a nasty cross to the far post. Who is it turning up unmarked? McDonald stepping up. And it's a decent finish. It's a close-range chance, but he does well to control it and drill it into the roof of the net from 6 yards out as Okonkwo is trying to get a cross. No blame on the keeper whatsoever. And McDonald has pulled off the feat of scoring at both ends in the first 16 minutes of the match. Wowee. By the way, his own goal is the fastest own goal for us since 1994. In an away game, that is, when Lee Badley scored an own goal for Cardiff in the first minute and we lost 5-1. So this one will ultimately go better, but McDonald's there redeeming himself. But we got, again, the pattern continues. Mansfield looking encouraging, but not really making many chances, whereas we are making chances. The next opportunity, again, Revan on the left-hand side, surges past Bowry, drills in the cross. There's a little bit of a scramble. It comes out to Max Cleworth. Oh, deja vu. And he drives the ball really well from the edge of the box. The defender stretches and gets a foot to it in front of the keeper. 10 minutes of the half left. And another opportunity, again, Rathbone, excellent down the left-hand side, doing terrifically well, putting in the most teasing cross across the face of goal. Nobody can reach it except at the far post, Longman, who can't finish, can't get his foot around it, and just knocks her out for a goal kick. Very difficult chance for Longman because he's arriving from the wing, obviously. It's a very tight angle and difficult to get a proper contact. Even if he did it brilliantly to have scored. But wonderful play by Rathbone. A moment later, a horrible moment, though, when Andy Cannon is injured. And a sort of innocuous moment, the Mansfield fans jeering at him at first because they felt he was getting a lot of decisions from the referee, but it soon became obvious that it was serious. He was down for 10 minutes, eventually left the pitch on a stretcher. Really sad to see Cannon starting again. Really, I thought, looked sharp and had started the game extremely well, and what a shame to see him being taken off in that manner. Matty James comes on. I mean, it's the 45th minute by the time he comes on. The ref adds 10 minutes on, which essentially is saying he wasn't going to add any other time on, which seemed odd. But James comes on, and Dobson, who's been playing in the holding role, moves back across that right side of position in the midfield 3. And this was a big thing for me as well, in that no comment on Cannon. Like I said, he was doing well, and although we weren't winning, we were on top of the game. But people were saying after Tuesday you can't put Matty James and George Dobson in the same midfield 3, that they were both a bit one-paced sort of thing. I mean, did they not see the Northampton game where those two and Rathbone were terrific, where James was really controlling the midfield and ahead of him we were playing long balls in for Smith, and when the half balls dropped, Rathbone and Dobson were just ratting and winning everything, and that's how Rathbone's goal came about. I mean, they can play together. Clearly they can. This game showed it, because James immediately, in the added time at the end of the half, snaps in with a couple of good tackles high up the pitch just to establish himself. Dobson is immediately involved. Admittedly, the only opportunity during the added time actually falls to Mansfield, 7 minutes in. And again, it's McDonald's getting a long ball and getting into the channel, decent position, driving in a shot. There are bodies between him and Okonkwo. Okonkwo fumbles it, but leaps really quickly to secure it at the second attempt before it can spin off anywhere dangerously. And it's a level at half-time. The second half, well, let me put it this way. I think the thing that sums up how the second half went was, with 65 minutes on the clock, looking up at the big scoreboard, and I remark that for the first time in the half, Mansfield got bodies in Wrexham's half. And frankly, yeah, that really summed up the start of the half. First 20 minutes of the half is attack against defence. We were terrific, and that midfield trio just take complete control of the game. Our wing-backs are high up the pitch. The midfield three are really dominant. Dobson's passing, his movement, his tackling, his ferocity. James really in the centre of everything, dictating everything. Rathbone being Rathbone. Honestly, I mean, it was so impressive, and Mansfield had very little option but to try and dig in and survive. First chance of the half that we get is Rathbone putting a free kick into the box. It's half cleared. Falls to Matty James in the D. You think, this is a chance to hit it. He decides not to, and he squares it to Dobson on the right channel. Maybe a little overhit. Dobson, if he'd received it, I think, comfortably, may have had a shot. But instead, I think he does really well. He feeds it into the goal mouth. And Cleworth, who was up there for the free kick, comes across, flicks it towards goal from 6 yards out. He's so unlucky. Just can't quite keep it down enough. Hits the bar and bounces away to safety. We're going to have to wait 6 minutes, though, for Cleworth to finally get his goal. Again, comes from Revan, causing problems. He's really hemmed in by the corner flag, but that doesn't put him off. He manages to deliver a ball into the danger area, which is flicked neatly by Dobson to Cleworth, and Cleworth just smashes it from in the D. No chance for the keeper. Into the bottom left corner. Wrexham fans behind the goal again have travelled in good numbers, 1200s, and Cleworth sends them crazy. Absolutely superb finish. His 8th goal of the season. Only Eddie May and Aaron Hayden have scored more goals as a defender, a centre-back should I say, for Wrexham in a season. So Cleworth gives us the lead, and we keep going, and we look like we've got more goals in us. Dobson, persistent, winning a good header in midfield. When the ball drops loose again, he comes in with a hard tackle. It falls to Rodriguez, 25 yards out, and he hits a fabulous snapshot. It is such a good effort. Just goes over the bar, but really sharp thinking. Soon afterwards, he plays a terrific pass in the same sort of area to pick out Revan. How he saw it, I mean, it was real quality. Mansfield respond, though. Like I said earlier, Nigel Clough knows what he's doing. He's desperately trying to find a formula that will work within his injured ranks. He's had the issue of the second half going totally against him. So he makes substitutions. He changes them to a 4 at the back with a diamond and 2 up top. And it works insofar as we lose our control of the game. So after battering away at them for a good 20-25 minutes at the start of the half, Mansfield start to get hold of the ball. They start to come forward, and they don't really make any chances, if I'm perfectly honest, but they discover their threat. At least they discover their ability to get into our half and try to be constructive. We're still holding them comfortably at arm's length, but we've lost that momentum, and we only really have one chance before making changes which really grip that momentum back for us. It very nearly leads to a goal, though. It's just before the quarter hour, and it's again Cleworth doing well, helping the ball on for Longman, and Longman hits in a typically teasing cross from the right hand side, which beats the keeper, and it just goes, flashes across the face of goal. Sam Smith is in the 6 yard box. He looks about a foot out from goal, and he just can't quite reach it with his head. He's so close to just have the easiest of knocking. It's just out of his reach. We will have another fractional near miss as well coming up in a moment. But straight after that glorious ball comes in, Longman is rewarded by being subbed. So Ryan Barnett comes on for him. A predictable change, because bringing Ryan Barnett on for the last quarter of an hour against a defence that looks a bit shaky against crosses That does seem like a no-brainer. And Stephen Fletcher comes on for Rodriguez. Immediately, Fletcher is making the ball stick and is linking play up. Immediately, Barnett, actually, apart from any threat he has, is doing a really good job in midfield, just retrieving the ball, linking play up and making sure that we are now back on top. So whereas the change of shape through substitutions allows Mansfield back into the game, we then take control again, not by changing our shape, but by changing the personnel and just bringing on a couple of fresh legs who are able to offer something slightly different from the players before who've done well. And yeah, it all clicks nicely and we take control of the rest of the game. We have a chance soon after Fletcher comes on when he does well down the right hand side, pulls it back in. Smith, it's just behind him, unluckily, and he's clearly looking to just like take a touch and turn and hit it, and his first touch isn't quite right, and as a result he can't get the shot off. It's a decent half chance. He then does well to hold on to the ball late in a later move to begin the whole mover. It's a really good move this by Wrexham. Loads of patience. Smith up front is isolated, but he battles and battles and battles and hangs on to possession until the Wrexham team catch up with him, and it's great centre forward play. We now get bodies up the pitch. We find Fletcher on the edge of the box. He works it out wide neatly to Rathbone, and Rathbone drills in a cross which beats Flinders at the near post, and it just bobbles along the goal about a foot, 6 inches off the line, just rolls parallel to the goal line. Barnett gets to it first, but by now, like Longman in the first half, he's going to have a shot, but it's a hell of a tight angle. He hits it in and the defender manages to get there and block it. Smith gets a break with 4 minutes left. Jack Marriott comes on. Fletcher has a decent chance after Wrexham do well in midfield to find him, but he tries to set her up. He's against the last defender. He tries to curl it round him, use him as a guide and to make sure the keeper's unsighted, and the defender gets the block in and the chance is gone. But Wrexham, despite the fact that, understandably, Mansfield hurled things at them a little bit at the end of the game, they didn't really trouble us. Our defence looked rock solid, and it's a comfortable win. The referee didn't help them. Like I said, he added 10 minutes on in the first half, which was a bare minimum. He added 3 minutes on in the second half, which, considering there was a goal, a lot of substitutions. Nigel Clough worked through his full gamut of 5. We brought 3 on. 3 minutes wasn't a reflection of it. I'm glad any longer. You never know what might have happened, but we look comfortable. Looking at the individual performances as well, Okonkwo didn't really have that much to do. He made that parry, that block in the first minute, which is important, totally in control of it. He had the fumble that he grabbed hold of. That was routine enough. There was no problem. And then another shot straight at him through a crowd in the second half, which he held comfortably. There's no real crosses to deal with as such. Concord a pleasant return to league action. When you look at the back three, very impressive. I mean, Clough was getting forward a lot. Isn't it great to have players like him in a situation like this? He was getting deep into the Mansfield half. I mean, he nearly scored. He scored from open play, which is pretty decent work for a centre-back. He also nearly scored another for open play, the one that was blocked in front of the keeper, quite apart from the fact that he hit the bar from a set-piece. But, I mean, that's not his main part of the job. He had no issues defensively whatsoever. He was rock solid. On the other side, Tom O'Connor coming back in, having been out of the squad for a little bit, I thought did very well too. I mean, we all know the qualities he brings going forwards, and again, he was linking up nicely, having Revan and Rathbone in front of him. Sort of discouraged him from running deep himself, but it did mean he had a constant targets to try and hit, and that played well for us. And again, defensively, he was solid. O'Connell, I thought, was very impressive. When Mansfield were trying to put balls into the box, he was dominant physically, had no issue at all with dealing with it, and good to see another really strong penalty area performance from O'Connell. I know I keep saying that, but he is so good at that. Our wing-backs. Longman, early on, I thought, was he going to get a little exploited? Are people going to get in behind him a bit too easily? But he really settled into that part of the game as the match went on, and it didn't happen. And coming forwards, he got some good balls in. It was a good scrap between him and McDonald, actually. McDonald got taken off in the midst of the tactical changes. But yeah, Longman didn't get as much into the box of quality that he did in previous games, but he did put a couple of passes that could have led to goals very easily. On the left-hand side, Revan's player of the match, for me, absolutely fabulous. I mean, he destroyed Bori. In the pre-match, in the build-up, I was saying that duel will be terrific to watch. Well, it was if you're a Wrexham fan. Bori didn't get any change out of him when he was going forwards, and Revan, he destroyed him. He was so good. He knew he had the beating of him. He beat him with skill, he beat him with pace, and also his balls into the box were good too. Revan did ever so well. Moving on to midfield, because then, like I mentioned, Rathbone, who again was outstanding. His levels are so good. You could easily say he's played the match. Or Cleworth. It's a big compliment to Revan. It's Revan. Rathbone was very, very good. His combination play with Revan was superb. And that didn't help Bowery much. They've gone like for like in their shape. And yeah, Bowery keeps getting overloaded. Because Rathbone's in two places at once, isn't he? He's a cheat code. You got 12 players with him. Rathbone's energy, the succession of horrible crosses he put into the box. Wow, he's quite the player, isn't he? In the central midfield, Dobson started there and was looking solid and good. When he moved up to the right-hand sided position, he did very well. He was hugely influential in the second half, as I talked about earlier. Very impressive. And indeed, as was Matty James when he came on. The player he came on for, of course, Andy Cannon. Poor bloke. I mean, it was horrible. The moment he went down, he knew he'd hurt himself. He knew it was bad. He was waving his arm to be brought off and was clearly in pain. And it was a shame because he was his usual combative sense. He was quite prominent in the early stages of the game, really putting pressure on when he didn't have the ball. It was a real pity to lose him. Up front, I mean, Rodriguez had that miss, which is a shame. And he felt a little bit more peripheral in the first half. He did some good quality things in the second half, though. That shot, the pass, the ones I mentioned in build were really impressive, and he did some good work off the ball as well, just creating space with his movement. Smith, again, good centre-forward play. He doesn't get the goal, but he's working those centre-backs all the time. It must be horrible to come up against him. He's constantly at them, trying to run them behind, battering them physically. He's unlucky, nearly got on the end of a couple of opportunities. He did really well to set up the Rodriguez chance as well, and his hold-up play for that late opportunity was, like I said, classic number 9 play. Very, very good from Wrexham. Very good indeed. Phil Parkinson's already said he's going to rotate things around a bit on Wednesday, but he already rotated this one. There's some senior players who weren't on the pitch. So, yeah, we're setting ourselves up nicely here for the run-in. This was an excellent result. And that away form, hey, it's getting a bit interesting, isn't it? With a final score of Northampton of Mansfield Town 1, Wrexham 2. I'm Mark Griffiths from Wrexham AFC.